But if there is no natural malice in demons, but it has been shown that they are evil, it is necessarily left that they are evil by will. It is therefore necessary to inquire how this is possible, for it seems that this is absolutely impossible. For it was shown in the second that there is no intellectual substance naturally united to the body, except the human soul, or, according to some, the souls of the heavenly bodies, of which it is inappropriate to judge that they are evil, since the motion of the heavenly bodies is the most orderly, and in a way the principle of the whole natural order. But every other cognitive power apart from the intellect makes use of the animated bodily organs. It is not possible, therefore, that there should be any cognitive power in such substances except the intellect. Therefore, whatever they know, they understand. But in that which a man understands, he does not err, for all error proceeds from a lack of understanding. Therefore, there cannot be any error in the knowledge of such substances. Now there can be no sin of the will without error, because the will always tends to the good apprehended, whence, unless it errs in the apprehension of good, there can be no sin in the will. It seems, therefore, that there cannot be a sin of the will in such substances. Still, in us the sin of the will occurs in regard to those things of which we have a true knowledge in the universal, by the fact that the judgment of the reason in the particular is hindered by some passion binding the reason. But these passions cannot exist in demons, because these passions belong to the sensitive part, which has no operation without a bodily organ. If, therefore, such separate substances have a correct knowledge in the universal, it is impossible that through a lack of knowledge in particular the will tends to evil. Further, no cognitive power is deceived about its proper object, but only about the foreign one. For sight is not deceived in the judgment of colors. But when a man judges by sight of the taste or appearance of a thing, in this he falls into error. Now the proper object of the intellect is the quiddity of a thing. Therefore, in the knowledge of the intellect, deception cannot occur if it grasps the pure quiddities of things. But all deception of the intellect seems to occur from the fact that it grasps the forms of things mixed with phantasms, as happens with us. But such a way of knowing does not exist in intellectual substances not united to the body, because phantasms cannot exist without a body. It is not possible, therefore, that an error in cognition should occur in separate substances. Therefore, it is not a sin of the will. Again, in us, the falsity occurs in the operation of the component and dividing intellect from the fact that it does not grasp the essence of a thing absolutely, but rather composes something of the thing apprehended. But in the operation of the intellect by which it apprehends what is, falsity does not happen except by accident, according to the fact that in this operation also something of the component and dividing operation of the intellect is mixed up. This happens inasmuch as our intellect does not immediately, but with a certain order of inquiry, reach to know the essence of a thing. As when we first apprehend an animal and dividing it by opposite differences, leaving the other, we attach one to the genus, until we arrive at the definition of the species. Indeed, in this process, a falsity can occur if it is taken as a gender difference that is not a gender difference. Now, to proceed in this way to know what something is the intellect running from one thing to another by reasoning. This does not apply to separate intellectual substances, as was shown above. It does not seem, therefore, that any mistake can occur in the knowledge of such substances. Hence, sin cannot occur even in their will. In addition, since the appetite for no thing tends but to its own good, it seems impossible that there is singularly only one good, that it wanders in its appetite, And for this reason, although sin occurs in natural things because of a contingent deficiency in the execution of the appetite, sin never occurs in the natural appetite, for the stone always tends downwards, whether it reaches or is hindered. In us, however, sin occurs in desire, because since our nature is composed of the spiritual and the corporeal, there are many goods in us. For our good is one thing according to the intellect, and another according to the sense, or even according to the body. Now, of these different things which are the goods of man, there is a certain order, according to which that which is less principal is related to the more principal. Hence the sin of the will occurs in us when, not observing such an order, we desire that which is good for us in a certain sense, as opposed to that which is good simply. But such a composition and diversity of goods does not exist in separate substances, for all their good is according to the understanding. It is therefore not possible for them to be a sin of the will, as it seems. Still, in us the sin of the will occurs from an excess or deficiency, in the middle of which virtue consists. Hence, in those in which it is not possible to accept superabundance and deficiency, but only the mean, it is not possible for the will to sin, for no one can sin in desiring justice, for justice itself is a kind of mean. But separate intellectual substances can only desire intellectual goods. For it is ridiculous to say that corporeal goods are desired by those who are incorporeal by their nature, or sensible goods which have no sense. But in intellectual goods it is not to accept superabundance, for according to themselves, superabundance and deficiency are means. Just as truth is the mean between two errors, one of which is according to more, the other according to less. Hence both sensible and corporeal goods are in the middle, as they are according to reason. Further, incorporeal substance seems more removed from defects than corporeal. But in corporeal substances which are removed from contrariety, no defect can occur, that is, in heavenly bodies. Much less, therefore, can any sin occur in substances separated and removed from contrariety and from matter and motion, from which it seems that a defect can occur.